Morning light spilled over the human settlement, soft and golden, carrying the quiet promise of a new day. The assassin stirred, stretching muscles honed from years of precision and survival. Outside, the settlement was alive, humans moving in organized chaos, preparing for the day. Children ran along the streets with small devices in hand, learning through play, while adults repaired walls, checked equipment, and tended small gardens. The assassin stepped outside, cloaked in shadows as usual, observing. Humans did not seem afraid of them, even after learning who or what they were. Captain Alara approached with a calm smile. "Good morning," she said simply. "I hope you slept well." The assassin studied her, trying to read any hidden meaning in her words. There was none. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but not cruel. That was something the assassin had not expected. "I slept," the assassin replied quietly. Alara nodded. "We have much to do today. I hope you can join us, not as a visitor, but as someone who can contribute." The assassin raised an eyebrow. Contribute? They were used to destroying and surviving, not building or teaching. Yet curiosity stirred. Humans were resourceful, creative, and brave. They had survived on this planet not by strength alone, but by working together and thinking differently. Ilara led the assassin to a wide courtyard where a small group of humans was gathered. They were preparing defense systems, repairing small drones, and reinforcing weak points along the settlement walls. "This is our team," Ilara said.
"We work together.
"We protect each other. If you stay, you will help, and you will learn how humans survive." The assassin studied them carefully. Every movement had purpose, every action part of a plan. There was no waste, no unnecessary motion. Unlike the alien council's rigid soldiers, these humans adapted as they worked. "You trust me to help?" the assassin asked quietly. Ilara smiled. "Trust is earned, yes, but sometimes trust is given because it is the right thing to do." The assassin allowed themselves to step closer, observing more closely. Humans were fascinating, small, fragile, yet astonishingly clever. They solved problems with limited resources, thought in ways that machines could not predict, and adapted quickly to threats. The first test came sooner than expected. Scouts reported movement near the settlement perimeter. The alien council had sent bounty hunters to locate the assassin. Their numbers were small but skilled, enough to create panic if underestimated. Ilara remained calm. "Prepare defenses," she said. "Do not engage unless necessary. We are outnumbered, but we are smart. We can outthink them." The assassin felt a rare twinge of tension. They were trained to act quickly, decisively, lethally, but here they had to adapt, work with humans who had a different way of approaching danger. The bounty hunters appeared on the ridge above the settlement. They were sleek, armored, and armed with advanced technology, yet they paused, confused. The humans did not flee. The humans did not panic. They moved together, setting up barriers, traps, and signals. The assassin moved with them, quietly offering advice. "Use the terrain. Lure them closer and then separate them." Ilara nodded, and humans followed the instructions swiftly, trusting a stranger whose reputation alone terrified the galaxy. When the hunters advanced, the humans' traps and clever use of terrain forced them to split into smaller groups. The assassin moved silently among them, neutralizing threats with precision. Not killing indiscriminately, but incapacitating when necessary. Each action was calculated, efficient, and controlled. The humans watched with amazement. They had heard stories of the assassin's skill, but seeing it applied in defense of innocence was something entirely different. The assassin did not act for power, for fear, or for reward. They acted because it was necessary and they could. After the skirmish, the hunters retreated, leaving the humans and the assassin intact. The settlement had survived, not because of strength alone, but because of strategy, ingenuity, and courage. Ilara approached the assassin afterward. "You fought well," she said. "Not for glory, not for yourself, but with us. That is why humans survive. We protect each other and use every mind we have." The assassin nodded silently. They had expected fear, suspicion, or betrayal from humans. Instead, they had found something rare in the galaxy: trust and cooperation. The following days tested the bond further. The assassin helped humans reinforce the settlement, sharing tactics and insights while observing their methods. They were surprised by humans' creativity. Simple tools became powerful devices. Small teams moved with efficiency and flexibility. Humans solved problems with logic, imagination, and courage. At the same time, the assassin learned about human ethics and patience. They were quick to act when necessary, but never recklessly. They asked questions, observed carefully, and adapted. In many ways, the humans were teaching the assassin something they had long forgotten: restraint, respect, and teamwork. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the settlement, a messenger arrived from the city's edge. A scout had been captured by the alien council, and through careful questioning, the humans learned that the council was planning a larger assault. The bounty hunters had only been a test. The assassin frowned. They will not stop. They fear me, and they will send more. They will not think humans can withstand them. Lyra nodded. Then we prepare. But we do not prepare like they expect. Humans do not rely on fear. We rely on courage, teamwork, and ingenuity. The assassin studied her face, seeing unshakable resolve. They had faced many enemies, many missions, but never a community so small yet so determined to survive. It was strange, unsettling, and inspiring all at once. Over the next several days, the assassin worked alongside humans to reinforce walls, improve weapons, and devise strategies. They observed humans' problem-solving. A makeshift drone used to detect ambushes, a pulley system to trap intruders, even a simple signaling method that allowed messages to travel quickly across the settlement. The assassin realized humans were not weaker, not fragile, not inferior. They were strong in ways the galaxy often overlooked: adaptable, creative, brave, and united. Despite their cautious nature, the assassin began to trust humans, and humans began to trust them in return. They shared meals, observed customs, and even joked quietly. Small moments of humanity, the laugh of a child, the careful tending of a garden, the shared pride in a clever device, made the assassin feel something they had thought long lost: belonging. One day, as they worked on reinforcing a wall near the perimeter, the assassin spoke quietly to Lyra. "You trust me with these people," they said. "Why?" Lyra looked at them, her gaze steady. "Because trust is how we survive. We do not fear each other. We help each other. Even someone who has lived in shadows deserves a chance to see the light." The assassin absorbed her words. They had seen cruelty, betrayal, and death more times than they could count. And yet, here was something different, something stronger than fear or violence: hope. The human settlement became more than a shelter. It became a testing ground, a place where the assassin learned that survival was not about being the best killer, the most feared, or the most alone. Survival, they realized, was about working with others, combining strengths, and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. As the twin moons rose again, the assassin stood atop the wall, looking over the settlement. They had survived countless battles, yet never had they faced a challenge quite like this: learning to trust, to cooperate, to fight with honor rather than fear. And they understood something important. The galaxy would come for them. The alien council would never rest, and danger was inevitable. But here, among humans, they had allies, strategy, and courage beyond measure. The assassin allowed themselves a small, almost imperceptible smile. Perhaps for the first time, they had found a place where they belonged. Outside the walls, the distant city shimmered under the rising suns. Alien spies moved quietly, observing the settlement, unaware that the humans had learned and adapted, preparing for whatever came next. And inside the settlement, a human voice echoed quietly in the assassin's mind, repeating the words that had started it all: "Come in." Those words had changed everything. They had tested trust, challenged expectations, and created a bond strong enough to stand against fear. For the assassin, this was the first step in a new path, one that would test their skill, their judgment, and their understanding of what it truly meant to survive. For humans, it was the first lesson in recognizing that even the galaxy's deadliest could become a trusted ally if approached with courage, empathy, and understanding. The stage was set. Trust had been tested, and the next challenge was already on the horizon. The settlement had grown quieter since the skirmish with the bounty hunters, but the air remained tense. Humans moved with measured purpose, strengthening walls, repairing machinery, and watching the horizon. The assassin, once a shadow moving alone through countless worlds, now walked openly among them. Each day brought new lessons about humans, about strategy, and about the kind of strength that came not from fear, but from cooperation. Captain Alara approached the assassin early one morning, her eyes calm but sharp. "I need to speak with you," she said. The assassin followed her to a quiet corner of the settlement where the morning light streamed through a small opening in the wall. They expected a discussion about defenses or patrols, but instead, Ilara's tone was more serious. "The council is not as simple as we believed," she began. "The bounty hunters were just the beginning. There are secrets, things they hide. You might know more than we do." The assassin tilted their head. "I know some," they admitted. "The council controls fear. They use it to maintain order, to make species obey. But there's something larger, something they do not want anyone to discover. That is why I am hunted." Ilara's brow furrowed. "Tell me everything." For the first time in weeks, the assassin spoke freely, recounting missions, contracts, and observations. They described a hidden network of surveillance, manipulation, and elimination that reached across countless worlds. Entire populations were kept in line, not through diplomacy or guidance, but through fear and coercion. Humans listened intently, absorbing each word. They were astonished at the scale, yet not overwhelmed. Where others might have panicked, they began to think, to analyze, to plan. "You've seen the council's methods firsthand," Ilara said, "and yet you survived. That makes you valuable." The assassin nodded silently. "Valuable to those who want to maintain fear. Dangerous to those who wish to stop it." Ilara studied the assassin carefully. She realized that humans and the assassin had something in common. Both had faced the harshness of the galaxy, both had survived against impossible odds, and both understood the importance of thinking differently. "We will protect the settlement," she said firmly, "but we need more than defense. We need strategy. We need to understand the council as you do." Over the next several days, the assassin began teaching humans advanced tactics. They showed how to anticipate enemy movements, how to use the environment, and how to turn weaknesses into strengths. Humans listened carefully, absorbing lessons while adapting them to their own unique methods. It was not easy. The assassin was precise, used to working alone, and often impatient with mistakes. Humans, however, were patient, collaborative, and creative. They questioned, experimented, and modified each tactic to suit their settlement. The assassin realized that their skills were magnified by human ingenuity, and they began to respect humans more than they had ever respected any ally or enemy. During a planning session, a young engineer named Terran suggested a modification to one of the traps. The assassin had initially dismissed it as too simple, but when they tested it, it worked perfectly. "You learn quickly," the assassin admitted. "Faster than most species," Terran smiled. "Humans survive by thinking differently. That's what makes us strong." The assassin nodded, realizing that humans' strength was not in physical power alone, but in creativity, adaptation, and courage. As the days passed, whispers reached the settlement. Agents of the council had discovered the human haven, and rumors of a large-scale attack were spreading. The humans prepared quietly, fortifying defenses, training small squads, and developing plans that combined ingenuity with boldness. The assassin was impressed. Humans did not panic. They did not crumble under the threat. They analyzed, adapted, and prepared, and in doing so, they inspired the assassin to think differently as well, not just about survival, but about purpose. One evening, while walking along the perimeter walls, the assassin noticed subtle movement in the distance. Shadows shifted unnaturally as if someone or something was observing them. They moved silently, climbing a small rise to get a better view. In the shadows were figures in dark armor watching the settlement. The assassin recognized them immediately. Spies from the council, skilled and patient, sent to gather intelligence. Returning to Ilara, the assassin warned, "They are watching. Not just bounty hunters, but scouts, spies. They will try to find weaknesses." Ilara nodded. "Then we must be ready, but not just with walls and weapons. We need to outthink them. We need to turn their shadows into traps of our own." The assassin spent the following days working with humans to design clever countermeasures. Simple objects became tools of observation. Hidden signals allowed squads to communicate silently. False trails led the spies into dead ends. Each measure was a combination of assassin skill and human ingenuity, creating a defense unlike anything the council expected. As the preparations continued, the assassin shared more of their knowledge. They spoke of alien tactics, covert networks, and strategies used in the deadliest operations. Humans listened carefully but always adapted the methods to fit their ethical code. Where the assassin had used fear and intimidation, humans preferred strategy and precision without unnecessary harm. The bond between humans and the assassin grew stronger. Trust, once fragile, became a foundation. The assassin began to see that survival was not just about being the strongest, fastest, or deadliest. It was about working together, combining strengths and protecting those who could not defend themselves. One night, as the twin moons cast silver light over the settlement, the assassin and Lyra stood on the walls, overlooking the city and distant horizon. "You've taught us much," Lyra said. "But you've also learned from us, haven't you?" The assassin remained silent for a moment, then nodded. "Humans are stronger than I expected. Not because of weapons, not because of speed, but because of mind, courage, and heart. You have made me rethink everything I believed about survival." Lyra smiled. "And you've reminded us that courage is more than fighting. It's about choice, trust, and standing together even when the galaxy seems against us." The calm night could not last. Soon the Council would realize the settlement was more than a hiding place. They would see the humans as a threat, and the assassin as an ally. Preparation had to become strategy. Strategy had to become action. The following days were filled with intense work. Humans repaired walls, constructed clever devices, and drilled in formations designed to maximize efficiency and protection. The assassin trained small squads, showing them how to move quietly, observe without being seen, and react with precision. Every human learned quickly, adapting lessons to their environment. The assassin realized that this was not just a settlement, it was a school of survival where creativity, courage, and intelligence combined into something far greater than the sum of its parts. And through it all, the assassin continued to reflect. They had spent a lifetime moving alone, trusting no one, feared and respected by countless beings. But now, for the first time, they were part of a team, a community, a human settlement that did not fear them, that did not seek to control them, that offered trust and partnership. As the alien scouts grew bolder, attempting to probe the settlement's defenses, the assassin and humans countered with clever maneuvers. Spies were trapped, misled, and captured without unnecessary harm, only enough to send a clear message. The humans were ready. The assassin observed quietly, impressed. Humans were resilient, adaptive, and brave beyond expectation. Each action reflected not only skill but a moral strength that the galaxy rarely saw. By the end of Part 3, the settlement had become more than a refuge. It was a stronghold of intelligence, courage, and hope. The assassin had learned the value of trust, teamwork, and ingenuity, while humans had learned the benefit of experience, skill, and strategic thinking from the galaxy's deadliest. Outside the walls, the alien city continued its watch, unaware that its most dangerous hunter had found a home among humans, and that humans were quietly preparing to challenge fear itself. For the assassin, shadows no longer symbolized loneliness. They symbolized the coming challenge, the need for strategy, and the courage of a people willing to stand together. And inside the human settlement, the twin moons reflected off the rooftops, casting light on a partnership that might change the course of the galaxy. The next steps were clear. Gather knowledge, prepare defenses, and act with precision. The Council's secrets would be exposed, but only with the combined skill, courage, and ingenuity of humans and their unexpected ally, the assassin. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test everything the assassin and humans had learned. And for the first time, the assassin felt hope, not fear, about the battles to come. Dawn broke over the human settlement with a quiet light, but tension filled the air. The humans moved with purpose, checking defenses, reinforcing walls, and preparing small squads. Every sound and shadow was observed carefully. They knew the alien council would not wait long. The assassin stood at the highest wall, surveying the horizon. They had fought countless battles, faced skilled opponents, and survived against impossible odds. Yet this was different. Here, they were not fighting alone. Here, humans stood beside them, using intelligence, strategy, and courage rather than fear to face danger. Captain Lyra joined the assassin, pointing toward the distant ridge where alien scouts had been spotted days before. "They're coming," she said calmly, "and they think we are weak. They think we are easy prey." The assassin shook their head. "They underestimate you. That is their mistake. Humans moved quietly, almost like a living organism. Some repaired traps, others manned elevated posts, and a few carried signaling devices to coordinate small squads. The assassin worked alongside them, demonstrating tactics, teaching stealth, and showing how to use minimal resources for maximum effect. Every human absorbed knowledge quickly, modifying strategies to match their environment. Hours later, the first strike arrived. Alien Council forces advanced in formation, expecting a swift victory. They were armed with advanced weapons, shields, and intimidation, but humans did not panic. They waited. They observed. And then, with coordinated precision, they acted. The assassin moved silently, striking only when necessary. They incapacitated key enemies without unnecessary bloodshed, creating openings for humans to exploit. Meanwhile, humans activated clever traps, false walls, hidden snares, and small drones that disrupted the aliens' communication. The enemy faltered, surprised by the unexpected ingenuity of the small settlement. Captain Lyra led a squad to flank the attackers, using hidden pathways and knowledge of terrain. They moved like shadows, avoiding direct confrontation until the perfect moment. When they struck, it was with precision, forcing the aliens to divide their forces and exposing weaknesses. The assassin watched carefully, noting every move. Humans had adapted tactics they had learned in days, turning lessons into action. Each decision reflected intelligence, courage, and adaptability. It was unlike any battlefield the assassin had seen. Here, the enemy's strength was met with skill, teamwork, and cleverness rather than brute force alone. The aliens tried to regroup, but humans anticipated their movements. A squad triggered a concealed pit, separating a group of attackers from their formation. Another used reflective surfaces to mislead the enemy, making them believe they were surrounded. Small squads moved silently, coordinating attacks, signals, and traps with remarkable efficiency. The assassin could not hide their respect. "You are faster than I expected," they muttered to Lyra as they took down a scout attempting to flank the humans. "Stronger than I expected? Smarter than I expected." Lyra did not smile. "We survive by thinking differently. That is why humans endure." The battle escalated as more council forces arrived, but every new threat was met with preparation. Humans had combined their own strategies with the assassin's techniques, creating a defense that relied on cleverness, teamwork, and courage rather than sheer numbers. The assassin led a small group to intercept an elite squad of attackers. They moved silently, using shadows and terrain, neutralizing threats without drawing attention to the settlement. The humans they led followed instructions perfectly, adapting tactics in real time, showing ingenuity beyond expectation. Even the Alien Council's most experienced warriors found themselves outmaneuvered. Every action taken against humans was met with countermeasures. Traps that seemed simple were actually calculated, designed to exploit assumptions about human weakness. The assassin realized humans had learned how to predict and outthink an enemy. At one point, the enemy commander advanced toward the settlement walls, confident they could break through. But the humans had anticipated this. A series of small devices activated simultaneously, creating illusions, obstacles, and confusion. The commander found their formation divided and vulnerable. The assassin struck precisely at the right moment, disabling key targets without causing unnecessary harm. Humans followed, using traps and strategy to surround the commander. They did not kill recklessly. They acted with intelligence, showing discipline and restraint. The commander was captured. The remaining attackers, realizing their advantage was gone, began to retreat. The humans, led by Lyra and supported by the assassin, pursued strategically, preventing further damage while maintaining the settlement's safety. By the end of the day, the alien forces had been repelled. The humans stood victorious not through raw strength but through clever planning, teamwork, and courage. The assassin, observing the aftermath, felt something unfamiliar: pride in humans. Lyra approached the assassin, her expression calm but proud. "You see now," she said, "humans are more than what the galaxy expects. We survive because we think, adapt, and stand together, even against the strongest foes." The assassin nodded slowly. "Yes, you have strength, not like any I have seen before. You combine courage, intelligence, and creativity. You are dangerous, not in the way the Council fears, but in the way that matters." Humans celebrated quietly, tending to the wounded and repairing damage. They did not revel in violence, for they understood its cost. Instead, they focused on learning, improving, and preparing for whatever came next. The assassin walked among them, silently observing. They had seen countless worlds fall to tyranny, countless populations controlled through fear. Yet humans, small, fragile in appearance, had turned weakness into strength through unity, ingenuity, and courage. Over the next days, humans and the assassin worked together to repair defenses and reinforce strategy. Every lesson from the battle was studied, improved upon, and adapted for future challenges. Humans demonstrated remarkable ability to learn from experience, innovate, and apply lessons quickly. The assassin also learned from humans. They saw that courage was not only about skill or lethality. It was about making choices that protect others, standing firm under pressure, and inspiring those around you. Humans had shown them that bravery could be measured not in power but in resolve, wisdom, and compassion. By nightfall, the settlement was safe, stronger than before. The humans had proven their capability, not only to themselves but to the galaxy. The assassin stood atop the wall looking at the distant city, reflecting on the events. For once they felt hope instead of caution, trust instead of suspicion. Outside the settlement, the alien council began to reconsider their assumptions. They had underestimated humans, misjudged the settlement, and ignored the potential of collaboration between species. The assassin had proven that even the deadliest being could learn and fight alongside humans, and that humans could adapt in ways no enemy could anticipate. Lyra joined the assassin one last time before the night fell completely. "We survived today," she said softly. "Not because we are the strongest, but because we think, adapt, and work together. That is what humans do, and now the council knows they misjudged us." The assassin nodded, feeling a rare sense of connection. They had spent a lifetime moving alone, feared and respected, but never trusted. Now they had found a community that valued courage, intelligence, and morality. The twin moons reflected off the walls, casting a silver light over the settlement. Humans repaired devices, tended to the wounded, and planned quietly for the future. The assassin walked among them, silent but vigilant, realizing that they were no longer just a hunter or a shadow. They were part of a team. The battle had been won, but the war against fear, oppression, and the alien council was far from over. Humans had shown their strength. The assassin had witnessed it firsthand, and together they were ready for what would come next. The words that had begun everything, "Come in," echoed in the assassin's mind. For the first time, those words felt like a promise that courage, intelligence, and trust could change the course of the galaxy. And as the settlement slept under the twin moons, the assassin understood something vital. The galaxy would come with greater threats, but humans, and those who chose to stand with them, were capable of facing anything. The next challenge was already approaching, but this time, humans and the assassin would meet it together. The settlement had quieted after the battle, but the air was alive with purpose. Humans moved through the streets calmly, repairing damaged structures, checking equipment, and tending to the wounded. The assassin walked among them silently, observing, learning, and reflecting. For the first time, they were not alone. For the first time, they had allies who relied on courage, intelligence, and trust rather than fear. Captain Lyra approached the assassin as they examined the walls, her gaze calm but determined. "The council will not forget this," she said. "They will return, and when they do, we need to be ready, not just to defend but to act." The assassin nodded. They had spent a lifetime running from enemies, facing impossible odds alone. But here they had witnessed something remarkable. Humans, small and seemingly fragile, could think, adapt, and stand together against even the most dangerous foes. "Humans do not fight like others," the assassin said softly. "You do not rely on fear. You rely on cleverness, courage, and teamwork. That is powerful." Lyra smiled faintly. "And you have seen that firsthand. Now we prepare for the future together. We do not wait for threats. We meet them." The next days were filled with preparation and learning. The assassin shared more knowledge of the alien council's tactics, their networks, and weaknesses. Humans absorbed every detail, adapting it to their settlement, improving strategies, and designing new tools. Their creativity was astonishing. Small teams turned simple devices into clever traps. Signals became secure communication lines. Terrain was used not just for defense but to confuse and control the battlefield. During this time, the assassin began interacting more deeply with humans. They shared stories of distant worlds, missions they had undertaken, and dangers they had faced. Humans listened, not with fear, but with curiosity and respect. Children peeked from behind walls, eager to hear tales of courage, while engineers asked detailed questions about strategy, stealth, and planning. The assassin began to understand that human strength was not just physical or technological. It was moral and mental, a combination of courage, intelligence, and empathy that allowed them to survive where others might fail. One evening, while the twin moons rose high over the settlement, the assassin and Lyra stood on the highest wall, overlooking the city and horizon. "You have seen our people," Lyra said softly, "and you have fought with us. What do you think?" The assassin gazed at the bustling streets below. Humans worked together seamlessly, repaired, taught, and trained with quiet determination. "They are remarkable," the assassin admitted, "not just in skill but in heart. They survive because they are clever, adaptable, and courageous, and because they care for one another. That is what makes humans dangerous in the right way." Lyra nodded. "Exactly. That is why the Council fears us. But it also means we have a choice. We can stand and we can protect more than just ourselves. We can inspire change." The assassin considered this. For years, their life had been about self-preservation, contracts, and survival. Now, for the first time, they saw the possibility of purpose beyond killing, of protecting, teaching, and standing for something greater. Days later, scouts reported new movements on the horizon. The Council had regrouped, but the humans were ready. Instead of hiding, they prepared to act strategically. Traps were reinforced, squads positioned, and signals tested. The assassin moved among them, guiding, teaching, and adjusting tactics to maximize efficiency without unnecessary risk. When the Council's forces approached, they were met not by panic, but by a calculated, intelligent response. Humans and the assassin coordinated flawlessly. Small squads used terrain, timing, and clever devices to divide and mislead the enemy. Traps slowed advances. Communication signals allowed instant coordination, and elite units struck with precision. The alien commanders, trained to expect fear and chaos, were astonished. Humans moved with confidence, discipline, and adaptability. They fought not only with weapons, but with strategic brilliance. The assassin worked silently among them, ensuring that every maneuver was efficient and every decision precise. As the Council forces attempted to regroup, humans turned their clever strategies into opportunities. Decoys, traps, and hidden signals forced the aliens into confusion. Where the Council expected chaos, they found control. Where they expected fear, they found courage. During the final confrontation, the assassin led a small team to intercept a high-ranking officer. The mission was executed flawlessly. Stealth, precision, and minimal confrontation ensured success. The humans supporting the operation adapted quickly, using their unique perspective to anticipate the officer's moves. Together, they neutralized the threat efficiently, without unnecessary destruction. After the battle, the Council forces retreated once more, leaving the human settlement unharmed. Humans had won, not through brute strength but through creativity, intelligence, courage, and teamwork. The assassin, observing the aftermath, felt a rare sense of pride. They had witnessed human potential firsthand, and it was extraordinary. Lyra gathered the settlement leaders and the assassin. "We have survived today," she said. "But survival is not enough. We must continue to grow, prepare, and inspire. We must show the galaxy what humans can do, not through fear, but through courage, intelligence, and unity." The assassin nodded. "You have learned quickly, adapted faster than any species I have seen. You have strength the Council cannot measure. They fear what they do not understand, and that is why you will endure." Humans worked tirelessly in the following weeks. They repaired structures, trained new squads, and improved devices. The assassin continued to teach, sharing knowledge while observing humans' natural creativity. Every lesson, every experiment, every adaptation strengthened the settlement. Humans had proven that courage and intelligence together could rival even the deadliest forces in the galaxy. Finally, the day came when the assassins stood at the edge of the settlement, preparing to leave for a time. Their mission was not over. The Council still held power and threats remained. But something had changed. Humans had taught the assassin the value of trust, teamwork, and hope. Lyra approached. "Where will you go?" she asked. The assassin looked toward the horizon. "I will continue to move, to learn, to observe, but now I have a place I can return to, a place I can trust." Lyra nodded. "And we will be here ready. The galaxy has seen humans, and it will remember. We will endure. And one day perhaps others will see what we have learned and follow our example." The assassin smiled faintly. "Humans are remarkable. I have faced many challenges, but never one like this. You have shown me something the galaxy rarely sees, the true strength of courage, intelligence, and morality combined." The twin moons reflected over the rooftops, casting silver light on the settlement. Humans moved quietly, tending to their tasks, working together, planning for the future. The assassin walked among them one last time, silent but aware. They understood that this was not the end of conflict, but the beginning of a new chapter where humans and their allies could change the galaxy. As the sun rose, signaling a new day, the assassin turned and walked toward the horizon, carrying the lessons of trust, courage, and ingenuity. Humans watched, not with fear, but with respect and understanding. The settlement had survived, grown stronger, and proven that even against the galaxy's deadliest forces, humans could endure, adapt, and inspire. The words that began it all echoed once more in the assassin's mind. "Come in." Those simple words had started a chain of trust, courage, and alliance that would shape the galaxy. Humans had shown that fear could be overcome, strength could be measured by intelligence and unity, and courage could stand against even the deadliest foes. And as the assassin disappeared into the distance, the settlement stood tall, a beacon of hope, ingenuity, and resilience. The galaxy had witnessed the true power of humans, and those who doubted them would soon learn that bravery, intelligence, and heart could change everything. The human settlement would survive. The assassin would return, and together, they would face the galaxy with courage, strategy, and unity, proving that humans are not just survivors, they are a force to be reckoned with. The story of trust, courage, and human ingenuity had only just begun. The desert sun of Arendor was harsh, casting long shadows across the jagged rocks and barren dunes. Wind swept through the canyons, carrying a scent of salt and dust, and the distant mountains shimmered like mirrors in the heat. From the cliffs above, a lone figure observed the small human settlement below. Lyra crouched in the shadows, her black suit blending perfectly with the dark stone. She had been trained for this moment her entire life. Every movement, every thought, every breath had been shaped for one purpose: to kill without hesitation. From the first day she could walk, the Kryn Collective had drilled into her mind that emotions were weakness, compassion was a flaw, mercy was a luxury that only the naive could afford. And yet, as Lyra watched, she noticed something she had never experienced before: humans caring for one another. The humans moved through their small encampment with a rhythm that was organized but fluid. They carried water to the injured, shared food without complaint, and even smiled at each other despite the heat and hardships of the desert. One of them, a young man with brown hair and kind eyes, was gently helping a small child fix her broken toy. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She could not understand it. Was this some kind of deception? She had been sent here to eliminate them. The Kryn had no patience for human defiance. Their explorers, scientists, and settlers were considered weak. Lyra had trained to destroy them. She had done simulations 1,000 times in the Kryn training chambers. One strike, perfect precision, no hesitation. Today was supposed to be her first real mission, and yet something felt different. A sudden movement below caught her attention. The human Elias noticed a small injured animal, a desert lizard trapped under a fallen rock. Without hesitation, he lifted the stone, gently checking the creature for broken limbs. Lyra's fingers twitched, ready to fire, but she froze. There was no threat here. None at all. Lyra had never hesitated before. Hesitation was punished severely. Her heart, conditioned not to feel, thumped strangely in her chest. She ignored it, telling herself it was nothing, just the heat. The humans continued their day. They repaired shelters, gathered water, and shared rations equally among everyone. Lyra observed them quietly, noting how their strength was not just in physical skill, but in their cooperation. Every time she saw someone offer help without expectation, her mind resisted the conditioning she had lived under. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Lyra moved silently down the cliff, landing with the grace of a predator. Her mission demanded she strike tonight. The Kryn expected results. There was no room for mercy. As she approached the human camp, she noticed a small fire at the center around which the humans gathered. Their laughter and conversation floated into the evening air. Lyra paused, listening. Something about their voices, the way they spoke and listened to one another, felt strange, not weak, not foolish, strong. She crouched behind a rock, studying her targets. There were 5 humans, maybe 6. Elias, the one who had helped the lizard, seemed to lead them without demanding authority. He simply guided, suggested, and sometimes laughed at a joke, making everyone smile. Lyra's mind, trained to see strategy and weakness, noted it all. These humans were far from defenseless. They were clever, adaptable, and united. Lyra tightened her grip on her weapon. It was sleek, silent, and deadly, a Kryn design perfected over decades. One strike and the mission would be complete. The humans would never know what hit them. That was the way of her life. That was the way of the Kryn. But as she raised her weapon, she saw Elias stand and hand his water to the child. Not because he was ordered to, not because it would benefit him, but simply because it was the right thing to do. Lyra's hand faltered. For the first time, she questioned the meaning of her training. Was she meant to destroy those who chose compassion? The wind carried the laughter of the humans to her ears. The sound was comforting almost, though she would never admit it. She shook her head, trying to focus. She had a mission. She had a purpose. She had no room for feelings. Lyra moved closer, silently, stepping from shadow to shadow. The humans were oblivious to her presence, focused on their chores and small talks. She noted their patterns, their routines, their vulnerabilities. She was ready to strike when something unexpected happened. A young girl tripped over a rock, falling hard to the ground. Elias rushed to her side, checking her for injuries. Lyra saw the fear and concern on his face. She had never seen such a look before. Not fear for oneself, but fear for another. She paused, watching the small human struggle and then laugh as Elias helped her up. For a fleeting moment, Lyra wondered what it would feel like to care for someone in that way. But she pushed the thought away. She had no place for such weakness. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the ground. Lyra tensed. The humans looked around in confusion, fear flashing across their faces. From the horizon, a group of Kryn drones appeared, sleek and deadly, their sensors scanning for life. They were faster than anything the humans could hope to fight. Lyra's mission had just become complicated. The humans scattered, some seeking cover behind rocks, others helping those who had stumbled. Elias took charge calmly, guiding the humans into defensive positions. Lyra watched, impressed despite herself. Their teamwork was flawless, their courage unshakable. A drone spotted movement near the camp. It fired a warning shot and the humans froze. Lyra's instincts screamed at her. She could strike now. One precise attack and all the humans would fall. The mission would be complete and she would return a hero of the Kryn. But then she saw the fear in the child's eyes. She saw the trust in Elias's gesture as he shielded the smaller ones. And for reasons she could not explain, she lowered her weapon. The first act of mercy in her life. Lyra acted quickly, using her training in a new way. She moved between the humans and the drones, disabling the machines with swift precision. She fought not to kill, but to protect. The humans watched in shock as this mysterious figure, trained to kill without mercy, saved them instead. When the drones were destroyed, Lyra disappeared into the shadows as silently as she had arrived. The humans could not follow her, nor did they try. Elias looked at the rocks where she had stood and whispered, "Whoever you are, thank you." Lyra retreated to a safe distance, her mind racing. She had defied the Kryn. She had chosen to protect rather than destroy, and yet she felt something she had never felt before. A strange warmth in her chest. Curiosity, relief, perhaps even hope. For the first time in her life, Lyra realized that the universe was not only about orders and killing. There was another way, a human way. A way that combined courage, intelligence, and mercy. The stars began to shine above the desert, twinkling like distant fires. Lyra watched them, wondering what it would mean to fight for something she truly believed in, rather than something imposed upon her. She did not know what the future held. But one thing was certain. Her life had changed forever. And somewhere, deep inside, Lyra felt the first stirrings of a question she could not yet answer. If she could feel mercy, could she also feel belonging? Could she belong to a world that was nothing like the one that had created her? The desert night was quiet now, save for the wind and the faint crackle of the human campfire. Lyra vanished into the shadows, a weapon no longer controlled, a mind slowly awakening. She had been trained to kill without mercy. But the humans had shown her a different path, and for the first time Lyra wondered what it truly meant to be human.